Good afternoon, this is Jeff with Sewer Tech Northwest. Today we're at property address 5620 Northeast 55th Avenue here in Portland. We're located up on the rooftop. We're going down through the 4-inch cast iron vent. Best I can tell, there is not a clean out in the basement nor on the exterior. We'll look for one, but if there's one, that's probably buried. Anyway, we're going to insert the camera and check the overall condition and serviceability of the sanitary sewer line. Currently have water running. Here we go. Once we get down to the bottom of the vent here, we'll zero out the camera counter. I'll have to clean some cobwebs off, it looks like. But we'll refer to the base of the vent as the point of access. That will be our 0 point. Alright, at the base of the vent, it transitions here over to ABS plastic. We're going through a spot with some standing water here. We'll take a look at that on the way out when the line's all drained. And we're boring through some very thick debris buildup right here in this particular area. You can see right before the camera went underwater there was the pipe was completely full of water. So I don't know if we've got a belly here or something else going on, but we'll try and figure that out on the way back in as well. Alright, and it transitions here over to 6-inch concrete pipe at 56 feet out. We'll take another look at this joint here up at the top of the pipe. That might be root strands coming through. It might also be cobwebs. It's kind of hard to tell with the view we have right now. A lot of that stuff dangling down in front of the camera right there are cobwebs. So it's a very good chance it's just that and not roots. But we'll have a clearer view of everything on the way back out. A lot of these houses in this part of town have been updated, and usually the update goes right to the street edge or the street curb where the city takes responsibility. So nothing else I'll locate just to verify that concrete transition is at the curb and in the city's responsibility. That looks like the main lateral connection. I'm going to locate, if I put my camera all the way into that, it's going to get completely gunked up with cobwebs. So I'm going to stop right here and locate just to verify we're at the main, and then we'll let the line drain out and reel back in. Alright, just located the camera head, and we are indeed right at the main lateral connection. If I pushed about 6 inches further than this, we'd be in the opening of the main. And this pipe here is in city responsibility once you're past the curb, so I mean that's why I'm not going to push beyond this. It's just purely, I'd have to rerun the whole camera back down the line if I got through those cobwebs there. And it looks like the line is just down to a trickle here. I'm going to reel back to the transition and locate just to double check and make sure that the concrete is the responsibility of the cities. And at this point here, it's still in pretty darn good shape. Right, while I'm down there, I'm going to mark this spot right here with a white X. This is the end of the second belly in the line, and this spot is the most significant. It's got inches of water and a lot of debris buildup. So I am going to recommend a repair here, and we'll show more of that once we reel back out in a moment. All right, this particular spot here is located in the front yard area. We're actually about 3 feet from the street curb, 3 or 4 feet. Now, in general, in Multnomah County, once you hit the curb, it's the city's responsibility. The concrete pipe here leading up to the street curb is actually in pretty darn good shape. Because you're already going to be digging down that, and we're at almost 10 feet deep here. The locator's bouncing between about 9'8" and 9'10" deep. So given the fact that it's at that depth, I highly recommend updating all the rest of the pipe to the curb. That way you don't have to deal with it in the future. Concrete pipe has a lifespan. It will wear out slowly but surely. So if you're digging a 10-foot deep hole, you might as well update that last 3 or 4 feet. That way you hopefully don't have to do it again for another 50 or 60 years. Anyway, so far here, all that stuff I see dangling down is looking like cobwebs. I don't see any obvious root strands in it amongst that. It looks just like spider webs there. But as soon as you pull back into this, we're already into at least an inch of standing water. And there's a trick that I do here. If you yank the camera back really quickly, if there's if there's about 1.5 inches or less of standing water, the water level will suck down below the camera lens and you'll see it. In this circumstance, when I yank back really quickly like I just did there, it's staying completely submerged. So we've got closer to about 3 to 4 inches of standing water in this particular spot. I put the line at very, very high risk. You can see right here, it is all the way up to the top of the pipe. Now, I highly recommend getting this repaired here. This is a spot that will very likely cause a blockage and a backup at some point. Pushing the camera through there, I've got to really force it through. There's a lot of debris that's built up in it. No, a belly worth fixing, no doubt. Now I'm going to mark each end with a white X. Again, the ABS pipe stops 3-4 feet short of the curb. I recommend taking that whole repair out to around, it's going to be about 60 feet by the time you hit the curb. You don't have to. In my opinion, it would be a complete waste of digging a giant hole like that to not update pipe that's going to likely need some type of repair in the future once it starts to wear down. All right, this whole belly here is mapped out. Extends from 47 feet to 56 feet. Again, I recommend taking that to about 60 feet or all the way to the curb to just deal with all the old pipe that's in the ground and the bellied pipe here. I'm getting the camera at about 10 feet, 6 inches deep here. The yard does kind of grade uphill. There's just more ground over the top of this spot here, it looks like. But this spot right here is about as bad as a belly can possibly get. The only thing to make it worse is if it were longer. And that is plenty of belly there to cause a clog quite easily. The way it sits right now, it's almost completely clogged. That's when you're just kind of waiting for it to happen. I believe we have another belly here. This one also has 1 inch of standing water in it. And where I typically recommend or start to recommend repairs on bellies is once they hit at least 5 feet with at least 1 inch of standing water. That is where I typically start to see regular old toilet paper build up in the line, not just paper towels and stuff that shouldn't be going down there. And this belly starts here at about 29 feet. You got a belly and a turn in conjunction with each other, which is turn slow everything down to begin with. You put some standing water in there, and that's a spot where this is obviously not as severe as the other one, but it's also has a fairly good chance of causing a blockage itself. And this one extends from 29 feet to 36 feet. And this particular spot here is working with about 1.5 to 2 inches of standing water, right in that ballpark there. Alrighty, we're getting back closer to the house here. Still in the yard. Everything out here is under just grass and dirt. Unfortunately, we're 11 feet 7 inches deep here. It's a very, very deep line. It's one of those, it's very difficult. You'll have to talk to the repair guys about how best to go about this. Potentially, when you've got this much standing water in the line, hopefully it's just due to a settling issue. If someone got their math wrong when they installed the line, sometimes you have to reconfigure quite a bit more than the bellies themselves to get these things to drain properly. So as long as it's just a settling issue, you can spot repair these. But given the way that the depths are reading out here, it's kind of hard to gauge because the yard's not flat. It grades uphill towards the house. So the repair guy's going to have to figure out whether or not it can be spot repaired or if you have to redo the entire exterior portion of the line. Kind of hard to say without talking to those guys. But I'm going to have a white X at each end of the belly. There's little white dots in between showing the direction it runs. Right here I'm getting the depth at around, it's bouncing around between about 10 foot 3 and 10 foot 10 inches deep here. It's sitting more towards that deeper end there. For whatever reason, I'm not sure why it's doing that, but just use a little caution when digging there. The depths are not traditionally how they would go. Normally it gets deeper, deeper, deeper as you move out. In this circumstance, it's deeper up close to the house than it is out near the street. And we're closer to about 11.5 feet at the end of the first belly and around just shy of 11 feet deep at the start of it. Anyway, I recommend a spot repair, at the very least spot repairs to correct those bellies between 29 and 36 feet. And between 47 and 60 feet. That belly there, it stops at 56 feet. I recommend just updating the last bit of concrete there. No reason not to mess with that. It shouldn't really affect the cost of that repair a whole lot anyway. And I highly recommend a rescope after the repair is done to make sure it was done correctly. Aside from those particular spots, the rest of the ABS pipe on property is in good shape, as well as under the basement floor. It looks good under there.